Welcome to the Rachel Varga podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures performed. I'm an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses as well, celebrity skin expert, having been featured on some of the world's top proactive aging podcasts, and much, much more. Learn more at rachelvarga.ca and enjoy today's episode. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here on this live recording on the Rachel Varga podcast. And in today's episode, we are going to share a few tips for staying faster, fitter, and happier with discussions on heart math, forest therapy, and healthy aging tips. Okay, this is sure to be a favorite episode here on the show because heart math, forest therapy, healthy aging tips, come on, those are some of my three favorite things to talk about here on the show with you all. And as you know, I'm a bit of a nature wilderness junkie. I love a little bit of adventure. So let's bring that into the conversation as well today. Be sure to subscribe here on the Rachel Varga official YouTube channel and hit the bell so that you know when new episodes are dropped, and also hit those bell notifications so that you know when I go live next. Go ahead and leave a review on the Rachel Varga podcast. I just recently posted a whole bunch of amazing reviews. I literally have the best clients in the world. Thank you so much, all of you who are taking this journey with me of just wanting to look and feel our best and be our most radiant versions on the inside and out. It's a pretty fun journey, and we're all just taking it together because I learn as you learn and all sorts of things. This beautiful send and receive relationship. Let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. We have Angie Gallagher here. She is a national board certified functional medicine health and wellness coach, a registered clinical exercise physiologist, and a certified heart math practitioner. Amazing. If you don't know about heart math, don't worry. We're going to fill you in today's episode because it's awesome. Some of the research about it. She has worked clinically with heart patients for 25 years and has worked in functional medicine for over 3 years. She has learned what works and what doesn't work to reinstill health and well-being. She has helped hundreds of clients lose weight, rediscover their health and vitality, and feel years younger. Who doesn't want to feel years younger? I will actually just share a little bit behind the scenes here. My biological age is younger than my chronological age. So what I share here works. Actually, I've done a couple tests to corroborate that. Personally, Angie has discovered ultra trail running in her late 40s and ran her first ultra trail marathon at age 50. She's stronger, faster, fitter, and happier than any other time in her life. And before Angie and I started recording, she was saying this to me, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I do feel just today getting ready. So like, I feel really good. And, you know, this has been a bit of a tumultuous time as of the last little while. So it's nice when you kind of find your groove and ways to promote your health and vitality. So Angie is passionate about getting more people outside, engaging with nature, hugging trees. This is why we're friends, and building their confidence through hiking and running. She is excited about teaching busy, hardworking women how to eat healthier, even with a busy schedule. She works to help clients address all areas of their health and well-being through optimizing diet, sleep, nutrition, breathing, stress management, and joyful movement. Today, we have Angie in the house. How are you, Angie? How's your day going?
Oh, I am doing great. I'm so happy to be on the show, Rachel. This is super exciting for me. So it's a great day.
Wonderful. And I loved going through your bio, and we're kind of like, we're just across the pond from one another. We're actually pretty close by.
Right.
So we should certainly after this arrange a nature hangout.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, we'll hop in the Land Rover. We'll have a little 4x4 adventure. We'll see lots of animals and hug all the trees.
Oh, I'm there.
That's basically what I do on my days off.
Sounds amazing.
And before we started recording, we actually had a really cool conversation talking about how a lot of women actually live for the weekend. A lot of men and women, they just work the grind, they live for the weekend. And it's like, no, I live for the now. And I think we're seeing just like a really big shift in how we're living. And I can't wait to share with everybody tuning in here some of the things that Angie and I do to show up the way that we do, feel the way that we do, and help you also feel faster, fitter, and happier. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you started out, what got you into all this amazingness.
Okay, well, I guess I've always been a healthy, sort of fitness and health minded person. Growing up, I my parents were into some fitness things, and so I was introduced to it early. And so I went into exercise physiology in undergrad, and then decided I wanted to help people who were struggling with health issues. So I discovered cardiac rehab, and then went back and got my master's degree in clinical exercise science and worked for 23 years in cardiac rehab. And for a long time, that was really, really rewarding. And I felt like I was really helping people. But after a while, I started seeing this revolving door, patients that were just coming back again, their second heart attack, they're, having more stents put in, they're having bypass surgery. And I started questioning why we kept seeing these repeating patients. And that's when I just started looking outside, and people came into my life at all the right time that introduced me to these different concepts that were very functional medicine related, and just rocked my world. And I was discovering that a lot of what I was taught, what I was teaching patients was not really correct anymore, that the research was really pointing in a different direction. And so I went back and got my functional medicine certification, and I started helping patients in that way. And I mean, I saw some amazing changes in patients that I was able to work with in a more functional medicine way. So that just kind of opened the door. It kind of opened the floodgate, and I just have been interested in biohacking and functional medicine and everything we can do to stay just super like vibrant and energetic, and just keep our bodies going strong well into retirement. And we don't have to have chronic disease. We don't have to have this slow decline after 40 or 50. So just really super passionate about, I got out of cardiac rehab because I started feeling like there's a lot that I can do to help people before they need cardiac rehab. And I think there's just too many people that accept that, once you hit 40 or once you hit 50, there's just this, like, the body just starts to break down. You hear it all the time. Oh, what do I expect? I'm 40 or I'm 50. And it's like, nope, you can actually expect a lot more from your body. So let's talk about how to get our body working for us, and work and do more to keep our bodies strong and healthy. So
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. You and I, we certainly have some overlap because, like you, with the traditional system of helping people with their skin and rejuvenation and all that stuff, I
Mhm.
felt like it's almost like the allopathic method. More and more people are realizing that it's not good on its own. It's good when it's in conjunction with, say, functional medicine and naturopathic medicine and all of that. And ancient healing practices, come on, it's like
Yes.
allopathic medicine hasn't been around that long. It can't be the be all end all. So when we combine all sorts of different ways that we can support our body, mind, spirit, that's when you're really going to hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head and find what works for you. And you're probably going to have to adjust this as you go through different stages in your life. And when
Yeah.
you mentioned working with women, I will actually say that I personally find women that look after themselves in their 40s and 50s. They're fit. They're doing the biohacking. They're measuring their metrics. They're not burning themselves out. They're finding that balance with their personal and professional life. They are way hotter in my eyes than
Mhm.
those women in their 20s. And it's
Yeah.
just like they got that like air about them of, I'm a bit of a badass because I figured out a lot of stuff along the way, and that's a beautiful confidence. And I'm sure you see that people you work with too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I even just know for myself, that the confidence that I have at this age
Oh, you're
is like
beautiful.
way more than, oh, thank you, way more than in my 20s or even 30s. Like I was never really very really sick. There are a lot of insecurities when you're younger, and I just feel like I own it now. And that I think that confidence has helped me to really go after a lot of things in my life and professionally, that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, I love it. I love just like taking notes from women like yourself. Like you're beautiful. Your skin looks healthy, your hair looks
Mhm.
healthy. I know you're
Thank
doing some really great
you.
work in the world with sharing amazing messages. So everybody, like, I really want you to watch this episode on Facebook or YouTube and just like see Angie and see her in her glory.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
when women are on their path and they're figuring out their dharma and why they're here, and they're doing some deep stuff in the background, like, those are the women that have number one the highest vibrations around. So they are going to literally give off a completely different vibe, but they're also going to age the best. So you do want to take notes from women
Mm.
like Angie here. And personally,
Thank you.
I'm in my mid 30s and I've done some biohacking tests and all sorts of things. And actually, my cardiovascular health was displaying and my gut health. So, how fortunate am I to have been able to utilize these sophisticated tests to figure out the yellow flags before they become orange and red flags? And actually, I'm taking literally supplements now to support my cardiovascular health and healthy glucose metabolism. I also am taking another one to help increase energy and resistance to stress with adaptogens. And I'm also paying attention to my heart rate and my heart rate variability metrics through
Mhm.
biohacking, which, when you
Yeah,
start to see improvements there, can be a measure of stress management, right?
absolutely. Yeah, your, like, biological age is probably, like, 12 or something.
I've done a few tests and the I'm waiting on one more, and I'll be sharing what the results are because I like to compare different test kits
Yeah, yeah.
to see if there is some continuity there or if something's way off. So I'm keeping
Mhm.
that tight-lipped for now, what my biological age is, but it is
Okay.
younger.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all. Yeah, you look amazing.
It's not an accident.
Yeah.
I took care of myself a lot. So tell us about how, full transparency, let's just be real. I do a lot to look after myself. If you want healthy hair, you have to brush it a certain way. If you want great skin, you got to do your morning and PM
Mhm.
routine. And, I did my dermal rolling demo last night in my recent skin camp. And, I do all sorts of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, I do
Biohacking is
red
huge.
light for myself.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
so good.
Mhm.
But tell us, you are a practitioner with HeartMath, so I'm
Yeah.
just gonna let you pave the way here. Tell us about
Yeah, I
HeartMath
love
and
heart
how
math.
you work with and utilize it.
So heart math is it's an assessment and an intervention to improve the balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So most of your listeners probably know, when we're in our sympathetic, we're in our fight or flight. When we're in the parasympathetic, we're in the rest and digest. And all of the science is telling us that the more we can spend in our parasympathetic, in that rest and digest, more peaceful and calm state, yes, the better our longevity, and we're going to just be healthier. So, heart math. When I hook people up to the heart math technology, I'm looking at their heart rate variability. I'm looking at the both the quantitative and the qualitative changes in the beat to beat ratio over time. So how much variability is there between their beat, heart rate beat to beat ratio, and what is the pattern? How organized is that change over time? So both of those tell us a little bit about their physiology and where they're at in that parasympathetic and sympathetic balance. So I use it to first assess, like, where are you at? And typically, when I'm working with people who are high stress, they're they're pretty low heart. So you want high heart rate variability. That's what we want for good health. So typically they'll be really low. So I'll work with them, and heart math interventions are a combination of breath work and changing the way we think, changing our thought patterns. So it's calling to mind a feeling of gratitude or love or appreciation for something or someone or a time in your life, and just really letting that, just sitting with that feeling, just really letting that feeling kind of just sink in and just into every cell. And then at the same time, breath work,
So I
heart
did
focus.
a Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza like live event, and it was the best thing in the world. And obviously Joe
Mm.
Dispenza is big on heart math. but I can't recall it. I used to say these all the time. What is the phrase gratitude? What is that phrase again? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
There's a specific phrase. It kind of sounded like fruits of the spirit in a way: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Yeah.
But this was slightly different, and there was a beautiful
Hmm.
energetic exchange when I would be repeating it in my mind, and then provide care in
Hmm.
some way to someone. And there is an exchange
Oh,
there,
the
so it'll come to us. I know it
yeah,
will.
not the prayer of loving kindness.
What's that part? Why don't you share
The
that?
the prayer of loving kindness? Have you heard of
Why
that?
don't you share that?
Oh, prayer of loving kindness is, it's a beautiful, spiritual practice, and that would actually also probably serve as a intervention, a heart math intervention. I'm sure that it would improve heart rate variability, and basically the prayer of loving kindness, there's different, versions, but it basically goes, "May I be healthy, may I be happy, may I be free from fear, may I be free." And then you pray that for yourself, and then you pray that for someone close to you in your life, and then you pray for some, like maybe for someone who is not so close to you, or maybe someone who you are having difficulty with, and then you pray it for all of the beings of the world, all of the living beings of the world. So it's a mantra, and so it's very repetitive, which is really nice because it can get you into that very relaxed state, because you're just basically repeating the same phrase, but then you're extending it to different people or beings. So it can also work well for a heart math intervention.
That's so cool, and I think that the heart math intervention works more with the Taurus field. Am I correct with that?
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so our bodies, we have a couple of different fields to us, and one of them is the Taurus field. It's kind of like two wormholes, right? So our energy extends supposedly about 10 feet in each direction.
Mhm.
Now, I have a machine called the BioWell. This is currently a practitioner only device. And what it measures is actually the human biofield. So
Mm.
that is the quote unquote etheric field, but actually it's something that we can measure by actually extrapolating the energy coming off of our fingertips onto a computer program. And it tells you how many joules your biofield is giving off. And also, if you have any permeations, susceptibilities in different areas of your body. And then it can
Mm.
actually give you energetic insights as to things that may be starting to happen. I kid you not. I did a reading on myself and it displayed as right eye pain and right jaw pain. And
Mm.
about 2 weeks later, I was experiencing that.
Wow.
So there's a lot
Oh,
to technology that we can start to utilize. So working with heart math interventions is great. And I have to say, personally, looking at, we got some biohackers in the house here on the show for sure.
I'm sure.
It, HRV was my hardest metric. I spent about 2 years really working on that, with tracking with the Aura Ring and the 8 Sleep and all sorts of things.
Mhm.
And actually, I have to be honest with you, the 8 Sleep mattress pad was the one thing that got my HRV to just skyrocket because of temperature regulation. And you can get the 8 Sleep mattress pad at rachelvarga.ca/favorites. I haven't done an episode on this yet, but it that temperature regulation while you sleep, biggest impact for me for HRV. Can you expand on that for temperature regulation? Because I know when we're in our 40s to 50s, we can be experiencing hot flashes and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, I know that that temperature regulation during sleep. So getting ideal sleep is huge for HRV. Sleep, and I'm actually finding I'm wearing my Aura Ring, and I have been fasting. This will be my third day, and my HRV is just going through the roof the longer I'm fasting. So for me, that's a big one. And getting good quality sleep. So when I'm fasting, my deep sleep is way more, like quadrupled, and then my HRV is matching that. Temperature wise, also is a really important part of getting good sleep and getting good deep sleep, which is again connected to HRV. And so keeping, whatever you can do to regulate your sleep or regulate your temperature while you sleep. I keep my house super, super cold at night. And a lot of people don't like to turn their temperature down to like 60 or 62, but I find that I do sleep better. And I have not had to deal personally with hot flashes yet, so I don't have any personal experience with how to regulate those. I do know that the functional medicine model, in terms of the types of food that we eat and exercise and supplements, all do seem to really help with hot flashes. I've definitely had friends have their hot flashes go away by doing the elimination diets that I encourage. So
You know, it's crazy. One of the I work with a practitioner exclusive supplement brand that's been formulating for 30 years, third party independent lab tested, and they actually have an estrogen supplement that has research that it helps hot flashes like go
nice.
away. And they actually have a money back guarantee. So there are some things on the rachelvarga.ca/store that I can have there, and other things I can't. So certain things, just send me an email or DM me info@rachelvarga.ca to get access to that. But there are, yeah, I would say sleep is number one for aging well. But yeah, the huge link with utilizing your sleep to improve your HRV was exactly how I did it too.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, is there anything that you think that we should know about heart math and how we, say at home, can utilize some of the information out there on heart math?
Yeah. So, heart math is definitely very accessible for the individual. You can get your own little sensor, it clips to your ear, and then you just download the Inner Balance app on your phone, and you can. It comes with all kinds of pre-developed different sort of guided meditations to help you know what to do to improve. You can go through their meditations. I mean, there's all kinds of tutorials on there to learn about heart math and heart rate variability. So I think it's a wonderful way. I mean, the biofeedback is huge, right? Like, you can meditate and think you're relaxed, but heart math actually tells you, like, it tells you where you're at in that parasympathetic sympathetic balance. So I think the biofeedback is really helpful, and it is a great way to just have something that is a structured part of your meditation practice. And we know how important meditation and just mindfulness and relaxation are. So yeah, I used it a lot with my cardiac patients, especially when they would come in with high blood pressure. So that's one thing that I've seen blood pressures drop 20, 30 millimeters just by doing a heart math intervention.
And I would probably be correct in assuming that if you were to utilize heart math in your previous allopathic setting, people would look at you sideways and think that you're offering snake oil, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's really too
Mhm.
bad what's happening in the institutions lately. It's like, why not just actually look at the research?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had doctors tell patients, you can try doing that kind of stuff if you want, but it's not gonna make a difference.
But also, as the observer, they could potentially even have an impact on that as well.
Right.
Right. If
Yeah.
we're getting kind of like deep, because we know that there is such a thing as the observer effect and things like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I love going down the rabbit hole with a lot of the teachers out there, like Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, talking about this stuff and a lot of the profound healings that are occurring from this. So, if this is the first time you're hearing about HeartMath, please do a deep dive. It'll be a really positive deep dive and maybe even distract you from some other things happening in the world that might
Mhm.
negatively impact your HRV.
Right.
All right, so let's get a little nature baby here.
Oh,
Let's
yay.
talk about the
Mhm.
physiological benefits of forest therapy. What are your
Oh,
favorite
love it, love
benefits?
it, love it so much. My gosh, this is like my favorite thing now. Getting out into the woods it is absolutely therapy. I have been enjoying forest therapy for a lot of reasons, and I know that it's not just me. So when you get out into the woods, there are these organic compounds in the air, in the forest aerosols, called terpenes, and those are given off by different plant life and trees in the forest. And there's different terpenes that are that are put out by different types of forests. And they have anti-inflammatory benefit, anti-cancer benefit, neuroprotective benefit. So it's not like just woo-woo. Like there's science that shows like what happens, and there's lots of PubMed articles on this, on what, like what happens when we get out into these different types of forests. And then the microbes that are in the air and in the dirt and different types of natural environments. So whether you're in a more of like an evergreen forest or an oak savanna, or you're over at the coast, like you're going to have different types of compounds and microbes. And so those are all really good for our own microbiome. And as your listeners probably know, like our skin has its own microbiome, and that's part of our skin health. So really taking care of our microbiome means that we are exposing it to different natural spaces, that we're getting into these beautiful different spaces, and they have different, and you can just feel it sensually. Like you can smell the difference in different types of forests, and it just, it smells different, it feels different, and that's all of those different compounds are helping our microbiome to be more balanced and to have a good variety of bacteria. So it's good on all those different levels, and just, earthing. If you go out and, like, I can't go on a trail run without hugging a tree. I've got a million tree hugging selfies, because it's just like there's something about the trees. And there's all kinds of research now about the aliveness of trees, and how trees communicate with each other in the forest, and that they're not just this kind of life, I mean, they're not just this thing. Like, they're actually communicating, they're actually more alive than we even realize. And so I love to just get out there, I love to hug trees, I love to just be in the forest. And just the solitude, even if I'm with friends, like, we don't talk the whole time. Sometimes we're all just kind of in our own solitude, and just able to kind of meditate and just be in this peaceful, quiet, amazing, majestic place.
I love that. That was a really
Mhm.
nice breakdown. The terpenes, the microbes, grounding. So grounding is going to support your mitochondrial function through more balanced ionic gradient. But for me, some of the things that I like to enjoy the benefit of for my skin when I am doing my off-grid days, which I live for, and I'm going to be doing that shortly
Mm.
later today with my girlfriend, but it actually accessing the moisture in the air. So when you get out of the city and you're in a forest, automatically the temperature drops easy 5-6 degrees,
Mhm.
and there's so much more moisture in the air. I actually live in a West Coast rainforest, technically, and
Mhm.
I notice it in my skin for about 5-6 days after I've done almost a whole day outside. My skin is just extra glowy, and it's really
Mhm.
picking up on also the moisture, right? And
Yes.
also the biggest thing for me, I really got into, we're talking like full on bush days, off grid days.
Mhm.
I actually needed to for my cognitive functioning and concussion. So, and headaches and things
Wow.
like that. So I actually did it for essentially a nervous system detox, and then cold
Wow.
therapy along the way, getting in the
Mhm.
waterfalls, streams, oceans.
Yes.
And I would use the cold therapy to make myself manage my stress response.
Mhm.
And this is something that I think that everybody should start doing, because I actually really hurt my wrist the other day. I was doing a kickboxing drill with my husband, and I wasn't wearing gloves. And he's like, Rachel, do a spinning back fist. And I do them all the time. I've been doing spinning back fists with Muay Thai kickboxing style for 10 years. And I missed the bag, and I smoked this metal bar here.
Oh.
And I wasn't sure if I broke my wrist. And because I'm just getting back into exercising, my aim isn't quite the same as it used to be because of injuries. And what did I do? I went immediately into breath work, the
Mm.
same type of breath work I do in order to manage cold therapy. It was fascinating. It was just like
Mm.
in the
Is that a
zone.
is that a Wim Hof thing or something
No,
else?
I it's just like a really slow,
Mm.
deep,
Yeah.
conscious breathing. so that I don't freak out when I'm in the
Love it.
ocean for 9 minutes up to my
Mhm.
jawline here in Canada. And,
Wow.
I think that being able to train your body to kinda, like, hack your nervous system is a great way so that when you it's a great tool so that when you are faced with a stressor in your work life, professional life, say there's a task that lands on your table that, like, you have to clear the decks for and handle right away or some emergency, you can just ground, center, balance, and align yourself automatically.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I do the cold
Imagine
therapy as well, just with cold showers, but it's the breathing that helps you do it. I
Yeah,
mean, you
absolutely.
can't do it if you haven't figured out that slow, deep breathing.
And I'm curious from your perspective if more individuals understood how to regulate their nervous system
Mm.
through cold exposure, things like that, that long term, they'd have a better HRV, better HR, and their
Yeah,
cardiovascular disease risk would likely go way down.
absolutely. Yeah, I have a friend who got her dad to do it was one of the Wim Hof, exercises that she got him to do, and he was taking 3 medications for his blood pressure, and he got off of all 3 after, like, a month of doing the cold exposure. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. I'm a total wimp. I can't do it for very long, but I do try to do it as often as I can. After my warm shower, I try to finish with cold. So I know there's a cryotherapy just down the street from me that I'm going to go try sometime.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk to different practitioners. I have a great TCM acupuncturist, and they actually don't like the concept of cold exposure
Mm.
for it's like messing with your yin and your yang and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I'm super intuitive with it. Like if I feel like I need it, then I'll do it. But I actually haven't done intense cold therapy like I used to because I pretty much had to do it for pain and nervous system reset. But the other thing
Mhm.
I want to talk about here is cognitive benefits. We've talked about cardiovascular, but we also we're dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety lately. I have some
Mhm.
amazing options to just help you stay super clear and function as well, so high functioning as well. So email me. But I find when I'm in nature and you're exploring new trails and hiking, you're really tapping into developing your neuroplasticity.
Yes.
So tell me how you
Mm.
work with that too.
I love that. Yeah. So I mean, the other benefits of just being in the forest and earthing, grounding are definitely stress reduction. That I mean, that's like a huge benefit for it. Um, and just like when I first started running with this group of ultra runners, they were taking me on all these trails I'd never been on. And I remember just feeling totally out of sorts. I didn't have any direction really where we were going. And we'd come out on these fire roads and I think that we needed to go one way, but we actually needed to go the other way. And this was like for months we would be doing this and we'd get to the end of a trail and they'd say, okay, which way, Angie? And I would point all most of the time in the wrong direction. And they're like, nope, it's this way. It took me a while. And eventually I started to get my bearings in the woods. And I never thought I would be the person that would be taking new people out and confusing new people and getting them lost in the woods. But I finally figured it out and it just feels so good to have my brain and just to be out in the woods and have a sense of where I am now. And so obviously, neuroplasticity is happening because I've been able to go from feeling completely lost and out of sorts to feeling totally comfortable and at home with where I'm at and which direction to go. And it's just it's a confidence thing too. It's just like, okay, I've got this. Like I'm the one that knows the way now. I'm the guide now. I can bring the newbies along and get them to fall in love with this now.
Yeah, it's a confidence thing and it's also an adventure thing. So when we're
Absolutely.
talking about, really what we're talking about here on the show is how to be faster, fitter, and healthier. You're
Yes.
going to be, quicker in your mind and with your body. The more dialed in you are with your health and wellness, you'll be fitter, being outside, moving around, moving that beautiful body of yours. and also happier. But the adventure is a big part of my life as well. I love adventuring. How do you feel when you're in that kind of like childlike adventure mindset?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I mean, there are so many times where I'm up in the woods, and these woods are just like my backyard, which is such a blessing. I can just, head out the front door and be in the woods within a mile, and I'll be out there, and every season it's like a different experience, right? And it's like I know you experience that. It's like you go out in the spring and it's totally different from the fall, and I've been out there so many times with running friends and running through these just beautiful, lush, green, moss covered, just forests. And I literally will say, this is a playground. Like, this is nature's best playground. There's nothing like this. And then immediately I have this sense of sadness that there are so many people that have never experienced that. Like, never. Like, if they go on a hike, they might go on a hike through one of, like, the local little parks, but they don't even get a fraction of the experience when they don't go deeper into the forest. And I am not suggesting anybody be an ultra runner. Like, there's something kind of crazy about that, and it's not necessarily the best thing in the world for your body. I love it, but you can get out into the forest and not have to be doing ultras. And it is a playground out there. It is so amazing and beautiful, and like the sights and the smells, and you're running on these trails, and you're just like, you feel like it, like a child, like you just said. It's a childlike adventure, and there's just nothing like it.
And for some reason, we've kind of been programmed to not live that way. It's like you have to fit in this box for this position and this box for this job and blah, 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 blah. But really, if you want to hack your life and be, faster, fitter, and happier, you got to have that childlike mindset. So it's funny. I actually have a picture of myself holding a budgie when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5. Picture up there with my mom when I'm like 3. Yes, Mom, I know you're always listening to my shows. So shout out to you for being a rock star, Mom. I love you so much. And we forget that. We forget to be like, oh, let's just like be like a kid. Or sometimes I'll ask my partner to hug me and like not let go, just like how your parents or your grandparents would hug you and they're trying to like
Mhm.
squeeze you and tickle you on the couch when you're 3, 4 years old.
Mm.
We forgot about that. Like, how good is that feeling for our heart rate variability as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just that joy of just being out in those spaces. And I would just love to get more people to have a similar experience in nature, to just, I think so many people like, and this is not a judgment thing at all, but feel like so many people, like, their playground is going to the city or going to Vegas or going, like, everything is like very artificial, and nothing wrong with that. But I think if they're not able to experience the magic of a forest and what that really can do just for mind, body, and spirit, like, there's just something about it that you can't duplicate in any other way. So I would love to get more, and women especially, like, with women in their 40s and 50s, especially those that have given all of their attention to their family, and they've maybe put themselves last. Like, those are the women I would love to have, get out into the woods and get to have this very sensual experience. So I remember one of my clients, she was really struggling with making some of her health goals. And so we did a session where we just talked about values. Like, I just wanted to get a sense of where her values were, because we just weren't making a lot of progress. And so when it came down to it, sensuality was like her top value. And I never would have figured that out, because everything we were doing was just very kind of practical, and all of her goals were very practical. And when we did the values exercise, sensuality like came to the top. And I asked her, when did you last feel sensual? When did you last have an experience of like sensuality? And she said it was like before she had kids, and she and her husband would go out on the water, and they would go and just like be out in nature, like with their kayaks, and just be out in these like natural spaces on the water. And it's like, that it was like, it just really resonated with me. I'm like, you need to get outside, girl. You need to have these times for yourself where you're out in nature and like get your sensuality back.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, let's just be real here. We've basically been told to stay inside for almost 2 years now
Yeah,
in many places in
exactly.
the world.
Yes, forests were closed.
And really, I mean, I live for the playground of the forest. So
Yes.
I don't live to, go get dressed up, date night with hubby. Like, yeah, sure, okay, that's fine. And of
Mhm.
course, I freaking love Vegas. Like, don't get
Who
me wrong.
doesn't?
There's
Yeah,
some amazing
right.
shows there. Who doesn't
Yes,
like Vegas?
right.
But the playground of the forest is what I live for. It's like I will get all my work done
Mhm,
that I need to do to my
mhm,
amazing support for my lovely clients. I love you all so much. In case you don't
mm,
know that, I did
mm,
a testimonial post the other day. Love you all so much, and we need to learn how to create the life of our dreams and the life that the inner child of us would want us to have, right? But it's really interesting when you mentioned your client that you weren't making progress with, and she was wanting more sensuality in her life. That's a very feminine quality. Now, a
right,
lot of us are being trained to be, work, and sell in the masculine, myself included. When you go to a university, you're taught to behave this way. Then when you learn to, work within our network of like-minded healers across the globe, we're taught to sell this way and this and behave this way.
yep,
And it's very masculine. So there's men and women that are all just like, what's this feminine, masculine kind of stuff? Trust me, when I'm more in the feminine, everything in my life is easier and more
yeah,
enjoyable.
mhm.
Can you expand on that? What that's bringing up for you?
Agreed, yeah. That's so funny that you should bring that up because for so long, I was so much in my masculine and just like I can do it, I don't need help, I don't, like just very like strong-willed that I could take care of everything myself and just didn't felt like if I accepted help from someone that was a weakness. And I know that that was not helpful in previous relationships because you need that dynamic, right? You need that polarity, and I was being too much in my masculine, and coming into my feminine and realizing that this is not a weak place to come from. This is actually a very strong place. And I think that's part of why I love the forest so much more now, because I'm allowing myself to just like fully feel it and just be just like really explore and enjoy my sensuality more. Like I'm out there and I go, like I'll be covering the same trails that I've covered 100 times, but I feel it so much that it never gets old. Like I'm just like, and I've posted that on Facebook, like, nope, never gets old. Same trail I've done 100 times, but that sunrise is still beautiful. Like I'm just so much more in my sensuality. Um, and I think that when you can fully like embrace that femininity, you're more approachable, people relate to you more, and I think all of this has come at this amazing time in my life, just like the trail running and the starting my business and having to find ways to be more approachable and more relatable so that I can be successful, and all of this is like owning that femininity. And it doesn't, I think, a funny story that, I went out to meet a new friend for a trail run that I had posted, that I was looking for more people to trail run with, and just on this local running group page. And so I met up with somebody for a run for the first time, and it was happened to be this guy who was getting his PhD at OSU. And so it was just the two of us that ended up running that day, and we had a great time, did about 6 miles, and then he's like, "Well, let's do this again next week." And so we did, and I'm just thinking, "Great, I have a new running friend." And after two runs together, he asked me out. And I'm pretty sure I told him my age, and I knew he was quite a bit younger. And then I found out that the second day we ran was his birthday and he was turning 29. And so I'm just like, he asked me out and we ended up dating for a couple of months. And this is nothing about this is to brag. It's just to say, like, I was so in my femininity and so confident and so full of life that this age difference didn't make a difference to him, like, and so we dated for a couple months and it was really beautiful. And then, he graduated and left the state. But like, women can be super sensual and super confident and super in love with life. And um, if you're single, you can feel confident that other men will be attracted to that. And that was really helpful to me as a single woman, to know that like that those things were attractive to someone much younger.
I love it. I also love when my clients date younger men. Kind of want to just like fist pump them a
Yeah,
little bit. Like, yeah, you
exactly.
did.
Yeah.
Nice work. Okay, I had a bit of an epiphany last night talking because I've been doing a lot of work with like the divine feminine lately and like beauty and radiance. Come on, like how much more feminine topics of like life dharma work could you possibly think of? But I'm also like super masculine.
Uh,
So I kind of had a bit of an epiphany. I was hanging out with my girlfriend last night. We do like these super long 2-hour meditations, and like I do a lot of
wow.
work around that
Mhm.
quite frequently. So the funny thing is, like, being submissive is not the same as surrendering. So this is a big block I had with
Mm.
allowing more femininity in my life was I thought that being feminine, like, oh, that's just being submissive. And I'm like friggin' alpha, right? So
Mhm.
it's not the same. It's
Right.
surrendering is very feminine and it's also very freeing and also can really allow us to just like take a load off and help with our stress levels,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Love that.
Yeah, so when we're talking about being faster, fitter, happier, being in that more feminine mindset is going to just encourage you to navigate your life a little bit differently. So let's just get into the 3D for a hot second. Talk about our physical bodies there now. So, what are the benefits of getting outside for exercise, for movement, versus going to a gym or a studio?
So, and absolutely nothing against like going to your favorite Zumba class or yoga class. Like do those things absolutely. Like the community is wonderful and the therapies are wonderful. I feel like getting outside is so important on a daily basis. So natural light is a huge part of hormonal regulation and neurotransmitter regulation. I'm sure you know that and your listeners know that. And so even if I have a yoga class or some kind of indoor thing, I still make sure that I get outside at least a couple times a day and get that direct sunlight into my eyeballs and on my skin because we're meant for that. We're like, solar powered in a way, like we need that. And so that's a big part of it is just outdoor exposure is really important, helps regulate sleep, your sleep hormone melatonin, and then again just if you can get out and be in natural spaces and have exposure to those different microbes and terpenes and hugging a tree, there's just something about that that's not you're not going to get from being indoors.
And are we looking at the trees or are the trees looking at us?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, i
Mhm. I
think
saw
i
that
think
post on
that
social. I'm like, yeah.
yeah, I love that. There's so much happening in those forests that I don't think we're really truly aware of. And that's sort
Yeah,
of the magic of being out there.
for sure. And when you were talking about, the greatest good of humanity and also all living things, um, we're not the only animals with sentience.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yes.
who are we to think that we're the ones looking at the trees? They're probably checking us out, be like, yeah, they got good vibes.
Right?
No, they got terrible vibes. Let's help them out a little bit.
I love it.
Let's give them
Yeah.
some more terpene.
Right. Shower
Who
them.
knows? Who knows? They
Yeah.
could be, doing some things behind the background that we actually do know about. So I answered my own question. That was a tangent. I love thinking about things in slightly different ways and
Mhm.
kind of breaking those programs of like, no, I mean, yes, we're supposedly stewards of the earth and animals and things like that, but we're on this planet together. There's
Yeah,
probably more of an exchange than we think.
absolutely.
So why is it important for women in their 40s and 50s to get outside every day?
So, like I said earlier, I have found that in my interactions in social media and the people that have responded to my posts and that I've engaged with, many of the women in this age group are finding that they're seeing kind of a slow decline in various health parameters, and they're noticing weight gain. They're noticing that their energy levels are low. They're not sleeping well. They're stressed out, and they're not necessarily putting their own self-care at the highest level priority. And getting outside is, again, there's just so much benefit and therapy to that. So when you make a point of doing that, you are taking care of yourself in a sense. You're making a priority of getting outside. You're getting that natural light. Ideally, you're getting into those natural spaces. But this age group, I really feel like, needs to re-embrace their own self-care and their own health and vitality. And we have the opportunity at this age to really make a difference in the trajectory. And having worked in cardiac rehab for 23 years, I want to help people avoid having to go to cardiac rehab. I mean, it's a wonderful program for people who need it, absolutely. But I would rather have
And to
people.
clarify, sorry,
Yeah.
those that would be seeking those types of services, say, for example, would have recently had a heart attack or
Yeah.
high blood
So
pressure. Can you
anyone
just clarify that?
Yeah, absolutely. A cardiac rehab is a great program for anybody that's had any kind of cardiac event. So whether it's a heart attack, bypass surgery, valve repairs, having been diagnosed with heart failure. So anything like that, you want to have the monitoring, you want to go to cardiac rehab, and you want to have the clinical surveillance, the telemetry monitoring while you're exercising to make sure that your heart is responding appropriately to the exercise. So you can get stronger and fitter under supervision and know that you're doing it safely. Um, and so it's great. And I, huge fan of it, and worked in that field for a long time. I now am just really passionate about wanting to help people prevent, to just really have their absolute best health and well-being and vitality and joy and just passion for life, and to get off of that downward spiral where they just, energy levels just keep getting worse, sleep gets worse, stress gets worse.
I'm curious, working in cardiac rehab, I'm sure you have some colleagues and things like that. Um, that are like they have their fingers on the pulse with what's happening in North America, with our population. Are they seeing more younger
Oh,
individuals needing to
absolutely.
access this? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the time I left that job, I had worked with a 38-year-old who had a heart attack. And we had, several in their 40s. And when I first started in cardiac rehab, and so this would have been 98, we didn't have patients younger than maybe late 50s. So it has like the number of people having chronic cardiovascular issues at younger ages is, and anecdotally in my experience, is way higher. It's crazy to me.
What
And
do you
it's
correlate that with?
inflammation. It's inflammation.
Inflammation.
It is inflammation. There are so many contributors to chronic inflammation in our lifestyle now, and just the food system. I mean, the standard American diet is horrific. And I even see like these, trail runners that they finish with a long trail run and they head straight to McDonald's, or they have someone bring them donuts during, like, for the midpoint of a long run. And it's like, you're just adding inflammation to inflammation. Like, doing these long, crazy runs is inflammatory. It's, I'm not going to lie. And then you're eating that crap. You're just adding to the inflammation. And then, I mean, and we're as a society, we're eating the worst, most inflammatory food. We're stressed out, which is inflammatory. We're not sleeping, which is inflammatory. So yeah, it's just a
I
bad recipe.
I wonder why our government organizations are not promoting a less inflammatory type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Heck, we're being
Hmm.
promoted to go through drive-throughs and get takeout right now. Like, come on. Like,
Yep.
Are our systems wanting to make us sick? Like, could it be any more obvious? I'm sorry. I need to
There's no
vent for a
money in
moment
wellness.
because exactly. I mean, it's just really
Mhm.
frustrating. And I'm part of a huge organization here in Canada, and we're seeing signals of very young individuals suffering from myocarditis.
Yeah.
And like I'm literally on Zoom calls with a cardiologist talking about the signals that they're
Mm.
seeing in our societies. And so, if, say, any of you listening have a youngster or have a son or daughter that's dealing with some of this stuff, you need to get on top of it, and you really need to get on top of the inflammation. 100% agree with you. I have a lot of women meeting with me aged 40 to 50, and they're complaining of thinning skin, sun damage, not looking as good as they feel. And then I help them organize their skincare routine, dermal rolling for promoting collagen, and also some insights into some in-clinic laser rejuvenation and all of this. But really, it's the lifestyle, it's the biohacking, it's becoming really in tune with cultivating and strengthening your body, mind, spirit, energy practices. It's all part of the process. So
Mhm.
if you're listening and you have a youngster in your life that's already showing issues around their cardiovascular functioning, encourage them to seek out a less inflammatory type of a lifestyle, because I really foresee that future generations are just going to be sicker and sicker and sicker and more reliant and more reliant. And we really want to encourage you to be as self-reliant as absolutely possible. And that's going to allow you to live your fastest, fitter, and happier life ever. Being more self-reliant, you're going to have confidence around that, but it does take time to develop those skills. But when you start to employ them, those around you are going to start to notice how good you look too. And we have
Mm.
to lead by example.
Yes.
Absolutely. So do you have any closing remarks for our episode recording today? This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been so much fun. I would just say that don't don't accept whatever health issues you're having, whatever sort of slow decline you might be seeing. Like, don't just accept it as a part of aging. There's so much we can do to keep our bodies going really strong. And I feel better at 50 than I've ever felt in my entire life. And it's not magic. It's accessible to everyone. And no one, people don't have to be ultra runners. They just need to get outside, get into natural spaces, eat an anti-inflammatory diet, learn how to breathe right, learn how to manage stress, learn how to get into their parasympathetic, balance, life. There's, mindset. And you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself enough to do these things, to take care of yourself. And if you're struggling with that, then that's a whole nother thing, but that needs to be addressed. And just don't give up. Like, there's this, so many years of just amazing health and adventure ahead of you. And you can just really embrace it and just have the best life. And as a coach, that's my goal, is to help people achieve that.
Absolutely. And, just got to do the medical disclaimer here. If you think you have a medical
Mhm.
condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician. Everything we cover here is educational information purposes only. And it's just resources, right? These are just resources to help
Yeah.
you strengthen your body, mind, spirit, energy. There's going to be some things that I say here or guests say that, I don't necessarily agree with or completely resonate with, but it's just sharing things. And so based on your values, you can then pick up things to then sprinkle into your routines as well. And when we're talking about a low inflammatory diet and lifestyle, this also plays into, you're going to get clear skin in the process too. So I recently recorded a clear skin masterclass. This is a free masterclass that you can listen to here on YouTube. Just search on my YouTube channel for the Clear Skin Masterclass. You'll find it. And I actually cover tips for having less inflammation in the skin, which obviously your cardiovascular system is going to benefit from, all other
Mhm.
systems. Everything's connected, guys. but I talk about a low histamine diet and ways to cultivate food choices that aren't going to lead to your inflammation. So if you're like, oh, where the heck do you start with doing a low inflammatory lifestyle? You have to start with your foods. So that's why I talk about certain test kits on here on the show. My favorite test kits, shout out to rachelvarga.ca/favorites. You can get all my favorite things there for helping you with your food, different, mitochondrial NAD support supplements. We didn't get a chance to talk about red light therapy, but you did mention light. You just get natural light outside. You don't need a fancy red light panel to do this either. Sometimes it just makes it more convenient if we're in our homes more, we're working from home more, things like that. But 100% super simple. I want you guys to start your day off with getting outside. I love the sun. I'm not one of those skin experts that are just like, stay away from the sun, slather yourself in sunscreen. No, the sun is the most unadulterated source of energy that we have in our solar system, right? This is a huge freaking star. I mean,
Yes.
sweet.
Amazing.
But get that early sunrise or early in the morning light in your eyes. It's going to open up some beautiful pathways for hormone regulation. And also, I love sun gazing in the evening as well. So, working with your circadian rhythm, not pushing through that, forcing through that, being more feminine with your rhythm. Heck, I'm taking a hormone balancing protein drink here when you see me drinking this yellow stuff. It's amazing. It's going to help with your hunger. So ghrelin and leptin are hunger hormones. And so when I have this in the morning, I actually find I'm more satiated throughout the day, clear-headed, stuff like that. This was such a fun episode. And Angie, where can everybody hang out with you and find you?
Well, I have a Facebook page. It's just Facebook Heart Wellness Coaching. And then I will have my website, heartwellnesscoaching.com, will be up soon. I'm hoping in the next couple of days. And once you find me on either of those two platforms, you can join me in I'll be doing group programs to guide people through a sort of a lifestyle reset to reclaim your health kind of reset program. And then I also offer one-on-one wellness coaching as well. And then I have a private Facebook group that people can join as well.
So Mom, I know you're listening. I want you to start to follow Angie here. Because we need this more holistic outlook for supporting our cardiovascular health and wellness. And heck, if things were starting to show up for me in my mid-30s, if you're my age and you're a new mom or whatever, working professional, we have to pay attention to this stuff so that we're going to pull the Jane Fonda without the 3 facelifts. That's the plan, everybody.
Love it.
All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure spending the morning with you here, Angie. As you all know, I live for the woods. I live for my off-grid days. So that's exactly what I'm doing shortly after here. And if you've all tuned in so far this long, I love you so much. Be sure to subscribe here on the Rachel Varga official YouTube channel. Hit the like button and helps us support the channel here too. And also the bell so that you know when I go live next and new episodes are dropped. Share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, leave a testimonial. What have you enjoyed learning about today? Because it signals to me, I'm all about signals. It signals to me what I should be doing more of. So everybody have a fantabulous day. Stay beautiful, stay radiant, be faster, fitter, happier. Do what feels right for you. Thank you, Angie, for hanging out with us all here today.
The pleasure has been mine. Thank you.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everybody.